Welcome, guys, to another episode of The Candy Show. I'm your host, Candy. We are here live in Indianapolis, Indiana. Make sure you are subscribed to the official YouTube page, and it is capital C and the number two, capital C and the number two, Candy Productions 2. And also make sure you are following the official Instagram page, and that is Candy Talk Show. Candy Talk Show. Listen, we are natural, raw, real, live, unscripted, uncut, unexpected. But today it's not unexpected. We have another special guest. Guys, I want you to welcome multiple Grammy nominated singer, songwriter, music producer, audio engineer, and we're going to find out what else he has on his bio, resume, and in the future. Guys, I want you to welcome Mr. James Artiseen.
What up? What up? What up? Thank you for the intro.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Okay. Did I do you justice?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I appreciate that.
All right, all right, all right. Let's get on into it. Okay. Where are you coming from? What city and state?
Initially, I'm from Queens, New York. Queens, New
Okay.
York, man. I've been in Atlanta for quite some time now. That's where I currently am, but New York is where it started from.
New York, big city of dreams. Okay, okay. Atlanta, how long you been there? Like 10, 20 years?
Uh, Man, I've been in Atlanta for about a good about 15 years.
15 years. Okay. All
Yeah.
right, all right. What's your biggest difference between New York and Atlanta? Just in general. What do you say is
Well,
your big difference?
New York is definitely more fast paced than Atlanta for sure. Um, a lot more compact, of course, because there's so many people in New York, and Atlanta is definitely more spread out. And you definitely need a car in Atlanta because you ain't getting nowhere without a car, that's for sure. Or transportation, of that matter. But New York is just, things happen any time of the day in New York. It could be 5 o'clock in the morning, something going down.
Mm, okay. All right, all right. What's the best food place in Atlanta, in your opinion, and in New York, in your opinion?
It's a good question. Best food place in Atlanta. Uh, there's so many different spots in Atlanta. That's the thing. Like it's food everywhere. So I guess it depends on like your taste. Like me personally, I'm a big Italian food person, so I love Italian food. I love um Japanese food, Indian food. So it just kind of depends on what I have a taste for. But there's a couple spots like there's a spot called Bazoria in Atlanta that's really, really good. That's more of an Indian cuisine. There's a place called Fontaine's that's more of seafood based. I like oysters and stuff like that. But in New York, I'm only going to New York for the pizza.
Okay.
I love a good pizza. There's a bunch of spots in New York, but there's a famous spot in New York called Gabe's Pizzeria that's really, really good. Um, Man, and they closed a lot of spots down too, so I don't even know what they changed them to. There's a spot called Dave's in Manhattan, famous spot. So, you got to pick your poison.
Okay, I know that's right. I know. How long have you been? How long has it been since you've been back to New York?
Oh, I was in New York earlier this year. I was kind of stopping through for about a day um, while I was connecting to go to Europe for a show. But even before that, I think I had been back to New York in March just for a couple of days. So it's definitely changed for sure. Um,
Mhm.
Around the Jamaica Avenue area or just the Queens area, period. Like they're definitely changing it up and, gentrifying it. And, there's buildings popping up that have never been there before, so they're slowly but surely changing and building things up.
Sound like what's going on here in Indianapolis, Indiana. Have you ever been to Indianapolis, Indiana?
Oh man, I've been once, but that was years ago. Years ago. So I haven't been back since.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, I know you're not here to chop it up with some small talk, but hey, got to get to know the guest.
It's all good. Ask anything you want.
Okay, all right. Are you sure anything?
Anything. I'm an open book. Let's go.
Okay, all right. Well, I have to go. I have to do something really fun first, okay? If you were to choose the number between 1 and 3, what's the best number you would choose and why?
Between 1 and 3, I have to say 1.
Why?
Um, because I feel the ideology of you being the best at whatever you do, or you wanting to execute greatness within yourself is always going to be at the top for you know full and fold. So it has to be number one.
Okay, well, definitely a great take on that. All right, one other fun question before we get into the music. Now, we are going
Okay.
to talk to you about everything with music, but what do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun?
Yes,
Uh,
outside of music, damn.
Outside of
Outside of
music.
music. Yeah.
um, I mean, I'm more of an artistic person, so I love art. I love collecting art. I've kind of turned into more of a purist as of lately, so I love collecting vinyl. And I love listening to vinyl. Um, and I'm more of just a world traveler, so I love to go places I've never been. Just see places that I've never experienced or seen before. Just in the sense of learning other ways of how people live, and learning other ethnicities and how they maneuver through their surroundings and in life. I think that's super, super important. And I don't know, it just gives me different perspectives on, not only my own life, but just how to navigate through different things. So I think it's pretty cool.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you answering those questions because I like to get to know my guests. Are you ready for some wind down time?
Some wine downtown.
Yes, yes. I want to know. Are you ready for some wind down
Okay,
time?
let's
Yeah.
do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm intrigued with that.
Okay. All right. Me too, because I just made that up on the fly. Just let you know, because I just want to reference wine, because that's in one of your song titles.
Look, look, hey, look, I love me some good wine. Don't get me started.
Oh, red, white. Come on, tell me.
Both. Look, a good wine is good wine.
Mm. So I'm a white person. Now,
Okay,
unless
so
we're
you like
talking
white.
about a blush, I could do a
Okay,
blush.
okay.
Okay.
Now it depends on what is going with the wine, or how I'm feeling. So, it all depends. If having a, nice steak or pasta or something, I'm gonna go with a red. But if I'm having something a little bit lighter than that, then I might go with a white. It all depends. Or I might, if I want something a little bit more sweeter or a little bit more, you know, uh, I call it zestier, then I might go with a Pinot Grigio or something like that. Just who knows?
Mm. I love me some Riesling. Just want to let you know.
I
Riesling
like
is,
a Riesling too.
ooh, as you can tell, I'm a sweet, candy sweet. Did you catch that? Sweet.
I
Mm.
see where you're going. I see where you're going. Look, I'm a sucker for sweet wines too. I don't like dry tart wines. I don't.
Me neither. I mean, I don't know what's
Mm.
going on. That's just no flavor.
Yeah, yeah. It's
No flavor.
it sometimes it gives me a headache.
Really? Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, we've gotten to know Mr. James Artisan. Well, let's talk a little bit about you, your start, those good things so we can get the Candy Show people, the Candy Show watchers, the Candy Show listeners a little bit of insight on who James is.
Okay.
We've already
Okay.
talked about a little bit about you being from New York, you in Atlanta. You mentioned collecting vinyls. Think that's kind of where you started, right?
Yeah, that's definitely a piece of it. Let me see. From the very beginning. I remember when I first decided that I wanted to do music, or even just want to be in the music business or entertainment business. And that was because I had an opportunity to meet Michael Jackson when I was about 10 or 11. And at the time, already huge Michael fan. And my father at the time, he had a security company. He did security for a lot of celebrities at the time. And we pretty much just had an opportunity to go to an event that Michael was having in New York at Webster Hall. And we got to meet him backstage. And, most people wouldn't have even gotten a chance to get that close to Michael, let alone talk to the man or meet him. So, by me just having that opportunity, I always had it in the back of my mind. I'm like, okay, if I could do that, then I know that I can do this. You know what I mean? And that was kind of the first thought of the decision of, okay, I think I want to, kind of pursue this a little bit more. And as the years went on, I just kind of started figuring out, okay, what exactly can I do in this business? And that's when I said, okay, I think I want to do music because that's what I love. That's always what I've been around. That's always what's been in the house. And that's what makes me feel good. And right after that, I just started kind of becoming a sponge and just starting to learn more about the craft of music and songwriting. And that's how I got into actually listening to more music, because I would go to record stores every weekend and I would just buy a CD or an album that I never heard before, just to read the credits and just to open the inserts and see who did what and see all the fly pictures and see all the album covers and all of that stuff. And then before you knew it, I started writing songs and then just kept going up that ladder.
So let's put a pin in there because you just unpacked a lot of stuff. Michael
Okay.
Jackson.
Michael Jackson, yeah.
And man, I tell you, listening to that in itself, I don't know if you knew this, but I'm a huge Jackson, just in general, fan.
Oh yeah.
And you were in the presence of a legend who has
Oh yeah.
influenced, continues to influence, who a lot of people have imitated or just gained so much inspiration from. Could you say with that, you being in that room, there was an energy presence that was like, you know how people say the Lord touches you or people pray over you, and it's just like you got that energy. Do you feel like that was a given energy? Did you feel that energy was like, you know what? I feel this. I need to know how you felt in that moment. Like, how did
To
you
be honest
feel?
with you, at in that moment, I really didn't know how to feel because it was all happening so fast. And, it was kind of just the aha moment, like, oh man, I'm in front of Michael Jackson. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to feel. I'm just in front of the man, So my dad kind of did most of the talking. But after that, of course, after, looking back at it and realizing what that was, I mean, it was nothing short of an amazing experience, of course, because Michael Jackson was, one of my heroes that I looked up to, as a musical, entity. But and again, someone at that young age being able to, meet someone like that is kind of unheard of in a sense, so that was the biggest takeaway for me, is the fact that I had an opportunity to do that. And it was just a huge inspiration.
Well, let's talk about the other part. You said you were going to record stores, looking at vinyls, looking at the credits, CDs. Do you miss that?
uh I miss how frequently I was able to do it, because it was just I guess a more of a simpler time back then, right? um and there was a lot more of record stores back then. Right now it's not many record stores. So I missed that time of, just having the options of going to this store, going to that store. Okay, this one didn't have it, then I could go over here and see what they have. Blah, blah, blah. So it's yeah, I think right now vinyl is kind of making a comeback in a sense because I'm slowly seeing it. But back then that was the thing to do is get CDs and vinyls and buy the hottest CD that's out or if an album just came out, hey, I want to get the first copy of the album. People in line just to get the first 100 copies of the album. Before the store runs out. So that was a cool time.
Now, would you want to put that in your like vision? This is something like bringing the old back to the new. The question is that that was something that you love to do. Do you do that with your own music? Do you print CDs, special copies of sweet CDs? Can anyone get a CD from your music, or is it all download streamed?
That's a great question. Actually, I'm in the process of doing limited edition vinyl copies of my EPs, which a lot of fans have been asking about. So that's something that I'm in the process of doing because, again, me being a vinyl lover, and I know that there's a lot of purists out there. There's a lot of people that just like, you know, stuff in their hand. Whether they listen to it or open it up or not, they just want to have it just as a collector's item or just something to have in their hand, right? And especially in Europe, like Europe, they love that type of stuff. And my biggest audience is in Europe,
Mhm.
so that's kind of the main reason why I decided to do that is because those that sector of people appreciate that, you know. So to answer your question, that's definitely something that I'm doing. Of course, all the music is on streaming, of course, and which is also great. But I do feel like, people just having something in their hand, holds weight as well.
It definitely does, and I'm a fan. I'm a lover of music, so it's just like whenever you get a chance and the opportunity to get in front of that favorite artist of yours, or whomever you purchased the CD or album from, you can hopefully get an autograph. You know what I mean? So you can't
Yeah,
do that
yeah.
with streaming.
Right.
I, I, I think you should bring that back. Yes, yes, bring that
Oh
back.
yeah, it's
You
coming.
know,
It's coming.
okay. All right. Well, let's go. I know I kind of stopped you right there, but I wanted to make sure that it's important to understand where you came from, to know where you're
Absolutely.
going, and to know where you're at. And it's important just because of the evolution of how things have happened in the music industry. A lot of those things are non-existent, So it's just like, take me back to when you started. Take me back to those things that you can get them off of certain places, but at the same time, it's that feeling when that feeling had happened, when in that moment, because of you not being able to go to record stores and things like that. And it was very important, obviously, to your direction of your career. Now, what do you
Absolutely.
do now when you see your name on an item or a Grammy nominated song? How do you feel?
Well, of course, it's a amazing feeling, to be recognized by, your peers, your fans, and of course, something like the Recording Academy. That's what you do it for. It's one of the main reasons what you do it for. You do it for the recognition. You do it for the validation from your peers. You do it for the love of the music. You do it for your day one people who stuck with you from the very beginning until where you are now and where you're gonna go. That's the whole point of it. So whether it's a Grammy nomination, whether it's an actual win, or whatever the accolade is, it's all blessings at the end of the day because, we all know that the business is not easy. We all know that it's very, very hard to break through or break in. And, if you are afforded these accolades, you hold on to that because it's hard to get.
That is so true. That is so true. Now, I know that you are right now in a rebranding stage.
Yes.
Share with this audience, what does that mean to you and why?
So from the beginning of my career to recently, I was going by the name James Worthy. And most people knew that myself and the basketball player James Worthy shared the same name. And, for some time, we were just kind of fighting the SEO space of people searching us and seeing one thing, seeing another thing. Or some people might have gotten us confused with, oh, I didn't know such and such played basketball. I didn't know such and such did music. And so, some at certain points, it just kind of got confusing for people. And, at a certain point, I said, you know what? I think it's just kind of time to get away from that and separate myself from that and kind of carve out a different lane just so we could just kind of clear out the confusion and that's what birth James Artisan.
Artisan, what made you choose that?
Well, artisan means you are the best at your craft. So for me, I've always prided myself on creating my art at the highest level that I could possibly do it, in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So I always thought that your name should always embody your art and what you stand by and who you are. And I just think that when I thought about artisan, I thought about not only my art being top tier, but also it embodies me as a person because I've always stood on just me and not because of who I'm standing next to or who I'm with or who I know or who I've worked with. I've never name dropped. I've never done any of those type of things. I've always stood on my name, and that's what I think artisan embodies.
Hmm. And the word art, it's there.
There you go. There you go.
You can't get away from it.
There you go.
Wow. Okay. Now I know I kind of gave you just a little bit of an introduction. Um, but listen, if anybody knows your work, it speaks for itself.
Thank
You
you.
know, you're so welcome. It, your body of work that I've had an opportunity to listen to, I'm just like, I can't put it down. I want to
Wow.
hear more.
Awesome. That's so amazing. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I mean, you definitely have a collective amount of songs. How many do you think is out there? Out
Uh
there. Now, notice I said that out there, not have you wrote, but how many is out there?
that's released. Probably about 35, probably. Yeah. And that's just, those are just EPs and singles, no album yet or anything like that. And of course sprinkled in with other collaborations, stuff like that. But I would say about a good 35.
Really? Over this span of however long you've been in the business, since you were young, up until now, you
Now
only have
I
35 songs out,
well
released?
that's as an artist.
Okay,
So
as an
yeah,
artist.
as a solo artist. But as far as like total catalog of production and writing and things of that nature, way more than that.
Mhm.
There's hundreds.
Do you spend all day just writing and producing?
No, I wouldn't say all day because I wear so many different hats. So, if it's not artistry, it's of course music production, writing, but then I also run a label. I have artists that I have under the label that I'm, also micromanaging and so many different things going on at the same time. So there's really never a dull moment.
Say what read up on and heard all about you. You were a go-getter. Once you made that determination that this was going to be the path that you were going to choose as a career, you have been going ever since. And you
Oh
took
yeah.
the time to sit and learn. Not only learn, but you taught yourself some things as well. But you took the path of education. So share with the audience, this is not just I woke up one day and just started. You know, you took the time to also go and study. Share,
Oh yeah.
please.
I through the journey early on, I just always had the notion that it's all about trial and error, and it's all about experience, but then it's also about education, and it's also about learning the business acumen of the business that you're trying to get into, or the industry that you're trying to get into, and learning every little bit of that, because you always want to protect yourself, and you always want to know how to maneuver in a situation, whether it's good or bad. And sometimes, there's things that you can't control, but, as much knowledge as you could possibly know will always get you in the door that you probably wouldn't think you would be able to get into. And that's kind of what my mindset was when I decided to pursue the education of music as well. So I pursued a degree in audio production at the Art Institute of Atlanta. Before that, I went to what is it? SAE Institute, which is more of a smaller institute, and I got certified in audio and Pro Tools and et cetera. So, all those things to me are important when it comes to the technical side of music. Because if you don't really know what you're doing in the studio, when you're dealing with different people, they go to the next person. So you got to be prepared and you got to be ready.
In your trial and error phase, was there a client that you really wanted to work with, but because it was in a trial and error phase, you weren't able to land that client?
Yeah, there's been times where I just wasn't up to par or probably prepared for the caliber of artists that I was trying to deal with, which was a wake up call. You got to be ready. And I didn't really take it as, an insult, or I wasn't even really mad about it. It was more of a fact of, okay, I got to step my game up. And once I started doing that, I didn't really start reaching out to other people, or start getting into bigger sessions until I knew I was prepared. And plus, and what I mean by prepared is not just technically in musicality, but in the sense of being prepared with something to present them. So if I knew there was an artist that was looking for something, I'm going to give them a full demo of a record that I think should be for them. So it's fully produced, it's fully written, it's already demoed with vocals. I already have the idea structured. So all they have to do is say yay or nay, and we get to work.
Mm. But that took a while, right? It
Oh
didn't just, it wasn't just overnight.
no, that took quite some time to get to that point.
So from the moment that you started producing and really taking it seriously versus when you actually transitioned to the artist himself, what type of what type of transition did that, what was that span, like 10, 5, 4, 3, how many years?
So this is the interesting part. So before I ever became an artist, or before I ever was on a song as an artist, period. At this time, this was about 2016. I was still writing and producing just strictly. And at the time, I had a friend who goes by the name of International Nova. He had just moved to Atlanta from New York. He bought a house, he built his studio, and I would frequent his studio, quite a bit. And I would, just kind of work with him on some of his stuff. So whether it was co-writing with him, producing for him for his album, it was kind of that. And one day he just asked me to demo a hook for one of his songs. And, I'm just thinking, hey, I'm just going to lay this down real quick and, it's nothing to it. But he asked me to do a couple more. And then one of them, he wanted to keep me on. And at that time, I said, well, I don't really know how that's going to work because I'm not an artist. So he proposed to me that maybe we should turn this into a group situation. And I said, huh, that's interesting. So we had a song that we did called Wine for Me. And that was going to be the first single for the group. The name of the group was called Kings X2. And this was 2017. We put out that single in September of 2017. And probably 2 or 3 weeks after releasing that single, we debuted at number 10 on the Billboard charts. And this is the first time I'm ever on a song, period, as an artist. So that
Okay.
right there was like an eye opener for everybody, not only just me or him, but just everybody in the industry. Just like, how the heck did he do that? So that was like the introduction of me as an artist. And then once we disbanded, that's when I went solo. And right out the gate, 2018, I did a single with Houdini and put out that single, and then I just went off from there.
Okay, so I heard you taking classes, taking courses, and getting these degrees in the musicality, all of that good stuff, right? But did you take any singing lessons?
No, no,
So to this day, have you taken any singing lessons?
no.
Shut up. Are you serious?
Nope, nope. I've never took any lesson, no training, no anything.
What? Okay. God gifted. That's what I'm saying. God gifted, anointed, because you have all of this body of work, this great body of work, and we're about to talk about that. Um, so basically, you're kind of what, self-taught in that sense of
Yeah,
singing?
I've taught myself everything that I've known in this music business. Pretty much from top to bottom, I've pretty much taught myself um what I needed to know, because I my whole thing was I never wanted to rely on anybody. And I never wanted to, I guess it was my own pride in the sense of I didn't want to ask anybody for anything either. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get this out the mud. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna be a sponge. I'm gonna learn from people that I know are better than me. I'm gonna just, have mentors along the way. And, of course they taught me different things, but to actually be a professional in this business, you gotta learn on your own. It's trial and error.
Oh, don't I know all about that? Oh my goodness. Sheesh, you're right. Because you can't, shouldn't depend on people. This is what I say specifically for me, as an advice for other people. Like if you want to work out, and this is what you are destined to want to do, this is your goal. It's great to ask people if they want to come along, but don't get mad if they can't or choose not to, because this is your goal,
Right.
so it's just like with being able to depend on people. Yes, there are some people that you can't depend on, but at the end of the day, if that person's nowhere around, you need to know how to do things on your own.
Absolutely.
Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, let's talk a little bit about with the artist piece of it. Now, okay, I'm kind of a little old school. I'm used to albums. Do you like utilizing the word album versus project? And tell me why.
Yeah, I love albums. I'm still a sucker for a great album, because an album is supposed to tell a story. It's supposed to give you a theme. It's supposed to kind of give you a more of a artistic view of that artist's mind and where they are in their life at that time when they made that body of work. And that's at least that's what I look for in albums. So for me, with my projects, just a reference one with Blue Leisure, which is my first EP, that came right after I put out the first single with Houdini. And that was a time where, because this was 2019, so that was a time where I didn't know really what I was doing. I was kind of, you know, really just kind of experimenting and seeing what, not only what I liked, because I was kind of just making music that I liked and what felt good to me and what I thought was dope. And I didn't know what people would think about it. I didn't know what the expectations would be. I didn't know what people would think about it or anything. It was just kind of a thing of, I'm gonna put this out. I'm gonna make it like super, super creative aesthetically and all of that. And I remember the day that the project came out, I had a release party for it in Atlanta, and it was a pretty sizable venue. And I'm thinking like, man, it's not gonna be that many people coming through. Most people probably didn't even hear the project yet. It just came out, like whatever. So this was like on a Wednesday, and it was raining outside. It was just kind of like the perfect storm. I was like, oh man. So I pull up to the venue, and like when you, because you like when you're on the street to get to the venue, you can see the entrance that people have to go in before you go to the back to park. So I'm seeing a line of people around the building, and I'm like, I know this ain't for this, because it's another place that's connected to us. I'm like, I don't know if these people are going to that or that. So I'm walking in and I'm asking people, so who are you here for? Like, is there an event going on or something? They're like, oh, we're here for James Worthy. I'm like, what? Sold out, like packed. I'm like, wow. Like I had no clue. But it showed me that, for one, people were really paying attention. Number two is that, okay, I'm doing something right here. And then number three is I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And then that's when I was like, okay, yeah, there's just no stopping from here then. We're just gonna keep getting better and better. We're gonna stay consistent. We're gonna keep keep the train moving and keep getting bigger and bigger.
Mm. Talk about that. Your first solo artist album EP, Blue Leisure.
Yeah, Blue Leisure.
Mm.
One of my favorite projects, not only because it's my first one, but to me, I don't think anybody in my position could have done a better project, in a sense of someone that was a writer and a producer who transitioned to becoming a recording artist that had already had a top 10 Billboard record. Then I had features on the project, from Tony Terry to Sona Relay to Diddy Dirty Money to Houdini. Like, I kind of even shocked myself at one point. I'm like, how the hell did I even do that?
Man,
So I think that was like, I was like, yeah, I don't even think people are like in my lane. You know what I mean? So I think that right there was a point where people had to respect it.
so I have a couple of cuts off of there that I love, Glow and Move. Love
Mm,
them. Love them.
thank you.
You're
Thank you.
so welcome. And then your next follow-up project from that. And now I know that we can be on here all night long. All
Oh, yeah.
night
There's
long.
so much we could talk about.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, let's talk about the follow-up project, which was
Okay, the follow up, which was Kaleidoscopes. So that was in 2020. Um, Crazy thing about that is when I dropped that project, the next month COVID happened, and that was like so crazy because I was actually planning a Kaleidoscopes tour, and then everything just got washed away because of COVID. And literally, the day that I just kind of like the same playbook that I did with Blue Leisure, I had a release party the day of Kaleidoscopes came out, sold out event. It was even a bigger venue than the first one. And that was sold out. I had a lot of special guests come through. And then literally like a week later, COVID happened. And then it was just like, nobody could do anything, so to speak, like in person, like, couldn't go nowhere, can't do no shows, can't go to the stations, can't, traditionally promote, everything was, via social media and online. So that's when a lot of people were doing virtual interviews and doing all these different things, so that's kind of where things, fell. And then in the midst of that, I think that same year I started releasing other singles. So I had put out like another single called I Could Tell with DJ Luke Nasty. I put out another single called Gold Mine with Jay Holiday. So, we were just kind of staying consistent.
That's interesting. And for those who are watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Listen, I know that we can again continue to talk all day long, all night long, but I'm gonna give you my favorites as we go along real quick. So
Okay.
for that one, I loved Higher and Higher. Show me and gonna get it.
Okay. Okay. Go and get it. That's the R&B All-Star record right there.
Let me.
Shout out to
I felt
my boys Ruffins and Ray Lavender.
I felt like there was a personal. Go and get it. I felt like, well, I'm sure that all of your songs are personal, but certain things you write and you sing are personal to you. I felt
Oh
like
yeah,
that
for
was a
sure.
personal song. Go and get it for some reason, but I may be wrong.
No,
Was it
I
a?
mean that was for real. Like that was a intentional record. Like, it was pretty much referencing a situation of like, look, I want this chick, she giving me the vibe, I'm giving her the vibe, like, look, you gonna get this. Like, for real.
y- Yes, that's why I said I felt a personal. Now,
Yeah.
what's I felt that one. What was your next follow up from Kaleidoscope?
um so the first single off of Kaleidoscopes was a record called This Wave featuring True Hurts. That was the first single. Um, that's a dope record to me because that was probably my second quote unquote duet with a female artist. The first one was a record called Call on Me, featuring Sona that was on Blue Leisure. So that was just kind of like I wanted to kind of recreate that energy on Kaleidoscopes. And then the second single was Higher and Higher. Um,
Mm.
and then, after that, like it was just kind of, once COVID happened, then I just wanted to stay consistent. So I just started putting out other, one-off singles just to kind of keep the train moving. So, I Could Tell and Gold Mine came after that. And then, just kept going and going.
Okay, now let's talk about cups of coffee, and then we're going to get to Gipping Worthy. But cup of coffee. So I'm going to tell you right offhand, just from my perception, and please let me know if I'm right here on the mark or if I'm off. But from
Okay.
Blue Leisure all the way up to your current EP, I can hear the growth
Mm,
in your journey. Not
mm.
only just the musicality, but also lyrics, also the singing, um, especially on cups of coffee.
Thank you.
But oh my gosh, like between that, I mean, I'm constantly listening to a cups of coffee. I'm listening to Gipping Worthy. Like there isn't one song specifically on those just for me. Okay, that I should say skip, 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 skip.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow. That's amazing.
man, Your heart. I'm just gonna tell you real quick. Your heart. I don't know if you're gonna do this, but listen, for everybody who's listening and watching this, you have to make sure that you follow James. He has a great catalog. You can find it on YouTube and all the streaming platforms. So listen, don't take my word for it. Make sure you tune in,
Yeah.
follow him, and all that good
Go
stuff.
take a
But
listen. Go take a listen.
yes, your heart. I'm loving your heart, and I'm specifically talking
Thank you.
about that one because you're so welcome. I see that. Have you ever toured?
I have.
Okay.
I have.
Um, if you have not used your heart, I feel like that should be your intro song.
You know what? I haven't had a chance to use your heart at the shows yet, but I'm actually going to be planning a tour for next year, and your heart is definitely going to be in the show set for sure because that's actually one of the fan favorites. And like your heart is because I know a lot of times people ask me what is the meaning behind your heart, because some people are taking it like two different ways. They're thinking like, is it metaphoric or are you talking about specifically about a certain female? And really, the premise of the song is I'm referencing myself of having temptations of what goes on in Hollywood in the sense of drugs and sexual activity while being with somebody.
Oh wow.
That's
Okay,
what the
so you
song
have
is
some
about.
play on words, and so you have a lot of people that's interpreting it differently. Wow.
Yeah, so
Well,
that's why
mm,
like that's why I reference in the song um girls OD on drugs, like they buy drugs and they OD because that's what happens in Hollywood.
that's crazy. Well, I'm telling you what, listen, you can give me credit later, but your heart, man, that's it's the drums, is what it is.
Yeah, the live instrumentation. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, and that's why I'm like, oh, that's your intro. That's your intro song, and then you come out with the rest of it, give them the banger after that. That's just so hype
Yeah.
because I feel like I'm listening to it right now. And it's like do, 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 do. It's just it. I'm just telling you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
you're
you
so
so
welcome.
much.
You're so welcome. And then Gibbon Worthy, like it's just so smooth. It's so sexy. It's just man, right out. I'm loving it.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to Big Gift with a Goody Mob. Um, you know, that's just one of those classic projects that nobody really expected. Nobody really expected me and him to come together and do that. Um, and then also too, it was something new for both of us because he had never did a project like that, let alone do records talking about love and women in his music.
Mm.
You know, he's coming from a rap group that we're talking about social topics and political topics and stuff like that. So this was totally new territory for him. And I had never did a full body of work with another artist like that either before. So this was new territory for both of us. And plus two different age brackets and two different audiences. And you know, right off the rip when we decided to do it, we already knew that it was gonna be something that it was gonna be unorthodox and people were gonna I always thought that people was gonna receive it well because it's good music. And to me, I thought it was undeniable. But you know, we were right. You know, like the it was pretty much critically acclaimed. Like people loved it. Like I started seeing people use our format after that. Like ever since we dropped that EP, now everybody want to do joint EPs. Now everybody want to do hip hop and R&B EPs together. I'm like, yo, that was James and Gibb.
Man, I'm telling you, once again, guys, make sure you again, don't take my word. Just go go find it, Google it, YouTube it, go to all
Yeah,
your
go get
social
that. Big
media
Gibb, James
junction.
Artiseen, Gibb and Worthy.
Yes, yes. Okay, all right, all right. Now, personally, with all of the bodies of work, with your accomplishments, with you being around a lot of entertainers, and then they were featured on your projects or EP. You
Hmm.
are so calm. I'm like, I'm sitting there, this guy, he just is really chilled. He's laid back, sound I could tell he's very appreciative and very humble.
Oh yeah, I'm always appreciative of the things that I've been able to do, and I'm just happy people love me for me. I'm happy that people enjoy my music. I I'm grateful that I'm able to do what I love to do, because things can happen at a blink of an eye. I could be gone tomorrow. I can, things can happen and I'm not able to do what I love to do anymore, so I'm blessed to be able to do it. And I'm blessed to have an audience and a fan base that loves what I do. And, we just gonna keep it going.
Now, I just kind of led into humble. You have a business, you have a record label.
Yes.
Share, please.
Yes. So the name of my record company is called Humble Sound Records. We have major distribution with Sony Orchard, and it's pretty much just a house or a home for artists and creatives that are exactly what they are, artists and creatives. So we don't hold people back. We don't micromanage. We don't tell them exactly what they need to be doing. Like, we let our artists fly. We let them, you know, create what they feel is in their heart, and we present that to the world. So as of right now, I have about 5 artists that's on the roster. I have an artist by the name of Sophia Habib. She's from the Netherlands. I have another artist by the name of Shina. She's also from the Netherlands. Tanisha Kelly, amazing vocalist, pop star. I have Truth Hurts. Of course, you guys know her from, early 2000s, Dr. Dre, Aftermath. And I also have Robin S., house dance artist, her for Show Me Love. And of course, we work with other artists here and there, depending on whatever those situations are. But we're more of a label that we're not really genre specific. So we can go from house dance to hip hop to R&B to pop to electronic to soul. Whatever feels good is what we align with.
So, those artists that you just mentioned, they're all female. So, that's an all female roster.
Yeah.
Was there any intention behind that? Because I know we've talked about your collective work while as an artist. I've seen a lot of male, and then you did have someone of a female body on it. But a lot of the work that you've put out, from what I see, have been male collaborations. Is
Right.
there a reason
Um,
why your artist roster right now are all female?
it's not really a specific reason. I think that's just kind of how the chips fell. It wasn't kind of by design. I did start out with well, when we first announced the label, we already were working with Robin and Tanisha. But then the other artists just kind of fell in the mix. And of course, we work with other male artists too, but actual artists that signed to the roster with their bodies of work happen to be female. But we're definitely planning on signing a male artist too.
Okay. Now, what's next for Jar? Wow, I was like, what's next for everyone? Like, from your artist to you as an individual to your production. What's next?
What's next? Oh man, it's so much going on. But in a nutshell, of course, growing the brand, the Humble Sound Records brand, of course, working everybody's projects. Sophia has EP that's going to be coming out soon. Same with China. Tanisha is working on her next full body of work, her next album, which is going to be her third album. Um, and me personally, I'm working on my debut album, which will be coming out top of 2026. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on as of lately, just to perfect it and, figure out exactly where do I want to take not only the sound and the sonic, but where lyrically am I going to take people with this? And this body of work is pretty much theme based. The name of the album is called Never Mind What They Said, and I'm at a point to where I really don't care about what people have to say, whether it's good or bad. I just have to think for me. I have to make music for me, you know, and that's kind of what birthed that.
That's so important. That is so important. Okay, now you just mentioned, and this was one of the things I did want to bring up. You strategically seem to have released your projects all in the first quarter.
Mm.
I know that
Um,
there's a reason behind that. I mean, because usually that's how the business was operating, but since COVID, it's just like get it out there whenever, just stay consistent, which is the word you've said in here a couple of times.
yeah,
So, is there anything strategic behind your first quarter releasing?
yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's like with Blue Leisure, it was a point of I wanted to like start the year off, right, start it off fresh with the body of work, get people to, hear me and know me, as the artist, right? Then when Kaleidoscopes came about, kind of the same sentiment, but more in the sense of I was planning that tour, so I needed that project to be out to go on tour with, right? But then COVID happened, and that kind of washed things away. But then when we got to Gipping Worthy, COVID was kind of over with by then. So that was a notion of we were doing like so much. Like we were on a major press run, we were doing shows, we were doing so many different things. So that was kind of like the 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 whole point of it in the sense of okay, we got to get this out early so we can shoot the video, so we can do the show, so we can do this because if we keep waiting and waiting, time is gonna go by. We don't know when this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen. So it was kind of all of that. But when it came to Cups of Coffee, all of that was kind of like, things have changed around so much. So it's not really a point of when you're releasing quarterly anymore. It's really a point of how are you executing the rollout of these projects? Are people actually listening? How are you marketing it to your audience? All those different additives. So that's kind of where things have been going after that.
Okay, okay, but your debut album is gonna be
Yeah.
coming soon.
Oh yeah, we're shooting for top of 2026, so probably like February-ish. But if not February, then probably April.
Okay. Well, definitely. But then at the same time, for those who are listening and looking, you still have a great body of like work out there. I don't know how much more you can top it.
Well, I would say this: the new project is absolutely more musical,
Mhm.
um, more lyrically in depth. So you can, I would say, probably my best writing by far. Um, and then production wise, best production by far. And I think probably tempo. because this project is definitely about tempo. So it's definitely more up tempo. It's more variety of tempo and more variety of um, infusion of styles and genre. So you're gonna hear more pop influence. You're gonna hear more electronic influence, of course, hip hop and R&B. But it's definitely an eclectic body of work.
Okay, well, I can't wait to hear it. As I said it again, I know we can be on here all day, all night. I know you're very busy. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming on the Candy Show.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. I enjoyed this conversation, but we have to make sure that everyone follows you, finds your body of work. So tell them how they can
Definitely.
do that.
Yes, you can follow me all social media at James Artiseen. You can go to the website www.jamesartisan.com, and also subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/ James Artisan.
Well, guys, you already know it is time to go. But before we go, make sure you go and subscribe to the YouTube page, capital C and the number 2, Candy Productions 2, and follow the official Instagram page, and it is Candy Talk Show. All right, guys, make sure you are staying tuned, like, follow, subscribe, share, comment, follow. We got to get this out here. What I say before, sharing is caring. All right, guys, thank you so much. Bye bye.